Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. This morning we have Lori Horton in the studio with us today, and she's here to teach us how to make some puppy chow bars.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with those.
Oh my gosh, everybody loves those little bags of puppy chow you get at the convenience store. It's a great roadside snack. These are going to be a little bit of, I'm going to say, a hybrid between the puppy chow, that's just that trail mix type of snack, and a Rice Krispie treat. So we're going to kind of merge those together so we can make a nice bar that's going to be a perfect little square you can cut up, put out on that platter maybe for, I don't know, there's like a football game or something.
I don't know, I haven't heard about it.
I don't know,
yeah,
something on the news. It's going to be a great one for you to put out this weekend. So I've got a couple of pans over here started to warm up. You can do this in the microwave as well if you're at home and you don't have just the stove top. So in one pan I've got a full stick of butter starting to melt, and in a separate one I'm going to add a little bit of peanut butter, and of course you want to make this the creamy peanut butter. Those nuts tend to get soft and soggy when they set when you cook with them, so it's always best to kind of stick with the creamy. And then we're just going to sprinkle some chocolate chips on top of those, and we're going to let that set aside and melt. We're going to let that butter set aside and melt as well. And then once that is all going, we're going to add some marshmallows to our butter. So this will look very familiar if you make Rice Krispie treats at home to that butter and marshmallow. The peanut butter and chocolate is going to feel very much like your puppy chow sort of mixture. What's really important on this one, because it is kind of a sticky recipe, is we're going to put this in an 8x8 pan, but we want to make sure it's easy to get out. So this is parchment paper, and what I did was cut this into strips that are the width of my pan. Now the easiest way to make these, this is a little bit of a tip here, is I'm going to take this over the back side of my pan, and I'm actually going to measure my creases and then take it off and fold it before I start to put it in the pan. And that's just going to make it set down in there very nicely and crisp, and it's just easier than trying to take your fingers or a spatula and crease that when it's down in the pan. The other one that a lot of people forget to do is to actually go ahead and spray the inside of the pan.
Even with the parchment paper.
Before you put it in and then after you put it in. So this is going to help make it stick in the pan.
Wonderful.
It makes it a little bit easier to deal with. And then I'm going to take that second layer and crisscross it. So now I've made a nice little four-sided piece that's going to lift easily out of my pan when it's all done, and then still put just a little bit on top of that as well. So once we've got the pan all ready, and that takes a surprising amount of time, we're going to set that aside, and we're going to work on melting those two separate bits. When we come back, we'll get all of these things tossed together with our cereal, pat those together, and then dress it all up to make it really puppy chow.
All right, sounds delicious. Thanks, Lori. Stick around, we'll be right back. We're back with Lori Horton, who's been showing us a recipe for some puppy chow bars. Now it smells so good. What do we have to do for the next step?
Next up, so I've got everything melted now. We started out with two separate pans. This is my chocolate and peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, just chocolate chips, whatever's your favorite. I know. And then this is just a stick of butter and a whole bag of mini marshmallows. And you can use the regular size, but the mini ones just melt a little faster. Yeah, it makes life a little bit easier. We're going to start with our chocolate peanut butter mixture, and I've got about 6 cups of cereal in here. You can put together whatever you want. I actually started with some leftover mixture of all the Chex cereals that I had from making some Chex Party Mix. Threw in some Rice Krispies too. It's whatever you guys love. This one is really nice because you can kind of use up some little bits and pieces of whatever's in the cabinet. I'm just going to pour that whole melted chocolate and peanut butter mixture in there. And it was just about a cup of chocolate chips and a half a cup of the creamy peanut butter. So you can do that in the microwave. It melts really quickly. Just watch your temperature and don't overheat it. You don't want to scorch it. So we'll make a little noise here. Toss this together. We want to get a little bit of that chocolate all around on our cereal. And it's not an exact science. If you get a clump of chocolate somewhere, nobody's going to be real mad at that. So, but just kind of get it mixed around in there so you've got a little bit all through. And then once that has started to kind of clump together, what we're doing is breaking it up. And instead of putting this out onto a cookie sheet and trying to keep it from making a huge mess, I just put it in a bigger bowl. So if you've got, you know, that one really big bowl that we all have in the cabinet, time to pull that one out. Then I'm gonna take my marshmallow and butter mixture, and that's nice and warm and really easy to pour.
Yes.
We're just gonna put that right on top. So this is where we deviate from our traditional puppy chow a little bit, and we're gonna kind of hybrid in those Rice Krispie treats, because this is gonna make it where we can make a nice bar, cut it up into those little squares, and make it a little bit easier to serve. So this is a little more important that we get this really well mixed together. That chocolate and marshmallow is going to combine a little bit, and that's fine. We just want to be sure that the cereal has something all over all of it, so that it kind of comes together into that really gooey, sticky mess that we're going to put into our pan. And once I've got this really combined, and you can see it's really got a gooiness to it. That's that marshmallow, right? It looks a lot like Rice Krispie treats. I'm going to take my 8x8 pan. We prepared that with parchment paper and baking spray, so we really want to make sure it's going to come out easy for us. And this looks like a lot, but it's going to tamp down in there really easily. And I'm going to pour it in there, but then I'll come back with my hands and actually kind of smush it down a little bit more. Make it really nice. And then when we come back, we'll add those final touches that really make it the puppy chow mixture.
All right, sounds like a plan. Stick around, we'll be right back. Lori Horton has been showing us her recipe for puppy chow bars this morning, and it already looks so good. What are the final steps?
The final steps are pretty simple. So we got this entire mixture really tamped down into our pan, gave it a really good press. You're going to crunch that cereal just a little bit. That's the point. And then just let this set. It doesn't really need to go into the refrigerator. It's going to set up well at room temperature. There's chocolate chips and everything. But if you're in a hurry, throw it in there for a few minutes. It'll set up pretty fast. So now I've got one here that is nice and set. So you'll see with those parchment paper pieces that we took the time, totally worth it, to prepare ahead of time, that makes it so easy to get out of our nice square pan. But if you guys have made puppy chow, or maybe you've bought those little bags of it at the convenience store, you know it always has that little layer of powdered sugar that sets it off. So we're going to take and do a little bit on top.
Okay.
Just put this in our little sifter here so we get a nice even layer. And it is much easier to do this before you cut it, obviously. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to cut this into small squares. The nice part is this is kind of obviously pretty rich. So we want to do small pieces.
Yeah, perfect for the Super Bowl, perfect for sharing.
So perfect for that, because you're going to have all of those super duper salty snacks, all of those really heavy duty ones. This is going to be a little something to break it up a little bit, but it also makes a really nice little package. You can put a bag of these together for a little maybe Valentine gift. You have somebody coming up, you know, 'tis the season for that now. But it's a nice thick piece, so you'll see your cereal on the side there. You get a really good layering, that little bit of powdered sugar on top. But it's so pretty. So what I did was actually just some extra little simple bowls. And I had a great tip that I read online, one of the few things from the internet I think was useful, that when you're going to someone's house, don't use the tacky sort of disposable aluminum ware. It's okay, but you know, you never want to take a chance of not getting your good pieces back. So you go to the thrift store, you go down to the Salvation Army store, and you get a very inexpensive, nice glass dish, and you make that part of your gift, your little, you know, thank you for inviting me over, and you leave the leftovers there. So I thought that was a really great idea for being able to just not worry about your dish, whether it gets broken or anything else, and make it kind of more of like a housewarming thing. So I thought that was a really good suggestion, and this just works out so perfectly because one batch goes a really long way.
Yeah, it's already filled
up. It's already filled up on my little bowl. The nice part too, very inexpensive to make, no eggs. So that helps a lot. No bake, we don't have to heat up the oven. The kids can get involved in this because it's so simple. As I mentioned before, you can do this in the microwave. You don't have to melt these on the stovetop. Just watch your temperatures because you don't want to scorch the chocolate chips or the marshmallows. Other than that, you're good to go.
Well, fantastic. What a fun Super Bowl, a sweet treat. Thanks so much, Lori, for being with us this morning.
You.
Stick around, and Chris will be back with a full look at your forecast right after this.